Hello everyone, this video is about the Arudha Lagna and the padas of various houses. I will be talking about the method to construct the Arudha Lagna and how to apply this. So before beginning, I want to remind my viewers that those of you who want to listen to this video in Hindi can directly click on the link which I am providing in the description box, and it will take them to my Hindi video. So friends, what is the use of the Arudha Lagna? This is a very important ascendant which we must apply while doing a chart reading. Saint Prashar has also mentioned about this ascendant in his book Brihat Prashar Hora Shastra. So he says that this ascendant will give you a very fair idea about how you are looked in the society. So basically, the ascendant chart which we have been studying so far is basically the sign that is rising on the eastern horizon, and based upon the sign that is rising, the entire chart, the Lagna chart is constructed, and we get a fair idea about what are the things which are going to happen in our life. So friends, the ascendant chart is basically the desires that we have, the things that we want in our lives, the kind of family that we want, the kind of siblings that we want, the kind of house that we want, the kind of learnings that we want to do. So basically the ascendant chart, the Rashi chart which we have been studying so far, is going to tell us about the things that we desire and how we are going to achieve those things. But that chart is not 100% reliable. So we must have some additional charts which will give us more supportive ideas of what to expect from life. So friends, the Arudha chart which we are going to discuss today will tell you about your reflection on the outside world. How does the world see you as a person? What are your reflections about your life to the world? Sometimes what happens is that the person may not be very rich as per his ascendant chart, but the projection that that person is giving to other people is that he is very rich. So people may perceive him as a very rich person. So it becomes very important to study the Arudha Lagna chart. So whatever houses we will get, the padas we will get will be the reflection about us to the outside world. And one more thing, see, whatever is going to happen will be reflected on the other side. So it means that whatever is there shall be reflected. So it becomes important to study the Arudha Lagna. Now how to construct it? Let's talk about that. So the Arudha Lagna is the first pada. First pada means the pada of the ascendant, rising ascendant. That is the Arudha Lagna. So I may call it first pada, I may call it Arudha Lagna. So do not confuse. So what is the method of finding the pada of a given house, whether it is the first house or any other house? So let's understand that. Suppose in the first house here, the rising sign is Taurus. So let's write 2 here. 2 means the Taurus sign is rising on the eastern horizon at the time of your birth. Now we want to find the pada of the first house. Let's consider Venus, the lord of the Taurus, to be sitting in the third house. 1, 2, 3. It is sitting 3 places away from itself. So the first pada will be 3 places away from where Venus is sitting. So this is 1, 2, 3. So the fifth house will become the first pada here. Let's take another example. Suppose Venus is sitting in the 8th house here. So the first pada will be 8th house from where Venus is sitting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this will be the first pada here. Okay. So this is how we are going to figure out the pada of the ascendant. But there are 3 exceptions which Saint Prashar has mentioned while finding the padas. So he says, if the house lord is sitting in the house itself, so in this case suppose Venus sits in the first house itself, then the pada of the first house will be the 10th house from itself. So the 10th house is this. this will become the first pada. This is exception number 1. Exception number 2 is if the ascendant lord is sitting 4 places away from itself. Say Venus is sitting here in the 4th house, then the pada of ascendant will be the place where Venus is sitting. This is exception number 2. That means if we are going to find out the pada of any given house and the house lord is sitting 4 places away from itself, then the 4th house itself becomes the pada of that house. So for the first house, the 4th house will become the pada if Venus is sitting here. Now exception number 3. Exception number 3 says if the house lord is sitting 7 places away from itself. Let's say Venus is sitting here in the 7th house from itself, then the pada will be fourth place from itself. 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be the first pada here. So the same rule applies for any other house pada that we want to find out. Now let's take another example. Suppose we want to find out the say we want to find out the 7th pada, right? So 7th pada is the pada of the 7th house. We want to find its pada, and if we have taken Taurus ascendant, then in the 7th house we shall have the sign of Scorpio. Let's say Mars is sitting in the 8th house. So it means Mars is sitting 2 places away from its sign, 1, 2. So then the pada of the 7th house will be the 9th house, 1, 2. The second place from where Mars is sitting, this becomes the 7p or the 7th pada. Now let's take another example. Suppose Mars is not sitting here. Suppose Mars is sitting in the 11th house. Mars is sitting in the 11th house here. Then the pada will be, so it is sitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is sitting 5 places away from itself. So the pada of the 7th house will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will be in the 3rd house. This will become your 7th pada. Now let's apply the exceptions here. Suppose Mars is sitting in the 7th house itself. It means the pada of the 7th house will be the 10th house from here. So the 10th house will be this house, the 4th house. This becomes the 7th pada. If you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this house, the 4th house becomes the 7th pada here. Now let's take another exception. If the 7th lord Mars is sitting in the 4th house from itself, 1, 2, 3, 4. Suppose Mars is sitting here, then the 7th pada will be in this house itself, in the 4th house itself. So this is the 4th house from Mars. So this becomes the 7th pada. Now let's say Mars is sitting in the 7th place from itself. Suppose this is the house of Mars and Mars is sitting here, 7 houses away from itself. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is sitting 7 places away from itself. So the pada of Mars will be the 4th house from here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this becomes the 7th pada. So this is again the third exception that we were discussing. So having said that, now we are ready with our first pada, that is the Arudha Lagna, and we are ready with our 7th pada. Suppose 7th pada is in the 4th house itself, and let's take another example. Suppose the first pada is of Gemini sign. This is the first pada. So we got the Arudha Lagna as the Gemini. So we rotated the chart to the Gemini sign, and this is the placement of the Arudha Lagna. And suppose our 7th pada is falling in this house, in the sign of Virgo. Now we want to study the Arudha Lagna. So if the 7th pada is sitting in the Kendra from the first pada, which it is sitting in this example, Kendra houses are the center houses, 1, 4, 7 and 10 houses. or if the 7th pada is sitting in the 5th or 9th from the first pada, then there will be deep affection between the person and his spouse. Secondly, if the 7th pada is sitting in the kendra or the trine houses from the first pada, then the person is also going to be very rich. Why I am saying this? Because the 7th pada is about your status. It is 10th of 10th house. The 7th house we all know is the 10th of 10th, and it is 4th of 4th. It is a very important house. So if the 7th pada is powerful, then we can say that the person is going to be very rich and he will be able to earn money easily. If it is sitting in the kendra or in the trine houses from the first pada. Now what happens is, sometimes in the ascendant chart, the Rashi chart which we are born with, some planets appear to be placed very well. So they appear to be very strongly placed, and what happens is, if in the Arudha Lagna chart the same planet is sitting in 6th house, 8th house or 12th house, even though they are very well placed in the Arudha in the Rashi chart, but in the Arudha chart, if they are sitting in 6, 8 or 12 houses, they will fail to give results during their dasha. So it becomes very important for us to see the placement of planets in the Arudha Lagna also, because those planets which are appearing very powerful in the Rashi chart can be seated in wrong houses in the Arudha chart. Next point, if you are having lots of benefics in the 2nd house to your Arudha Lagna, then you will have lots of wealth. If you have exalted planets in the kendra houses or in the 2nd house or in the 11th house, then also you will be very rich. If you are having lots of planets in the 11th house, then also you will be very rich. But if you have malefics in the 11th house, then the source of income will not be good. It will be objectionable. So it is not good to have malefics in the 11th house. If you have lots of planets in the 12th house, it means that you will be a spendthrift, especially if malefics are present or if malefics are aspecting your 12th house. The source of expenditure, the reason of expenditure shall be related to the planet that is placed. Suppose you have Sun placed here in the Arudha chart. It means that the source of expenditure will be related to the fines or the government taxes. If you have Jupiter placed here, then the source of expenditure would be due to some educational institution or on your children. So based upon the karak of the planet that is placed in the 12th house, you can figure out the reason of your expenditure. So friends, these are some of the tips which I wanted to share with you, and I am hoping that this will be very helpful for you in your future readings. And whenever you are studying the ascendant chart, do construct the Arudha chart also and look at it with a new perspective, and you will be able to get lots of revelations. So I hope this video must have given you some insight, and I plan to bring more videos on the Arudha Lagna in the near future also. Stay connected with my channel, and if you have liked the video, do not forget to encourage by hitting on the like button, and do share it with your friends. So all the best for now. See you very soon.